During his final days, Arthur Morgan meets Charlotte Balfour, a recently made widow who's struggling. Unbeknownst to Arthur, meeting this particular stranger would change his perspective on life, and today we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the interactions and how the pair saved each other. Welcome to the video. You're listening to Phil of Filbee Gaming. If you enjoy the following, you all know what to do, and if you're new here and aren't subscribed to the channel already, please consider doing so. With that being said, let's get into what we came here to see. How Charlotte Balfour and Arthur Morgan saved each other. This stranger mission, similar to others such as the Hamish Sinclair one, only becomes available in the final stages of the game, after Arthur has been diagnosed with tuberculosis. By the time that we find Charlotte, Arthur is fully aware of his situation, and his health has already begun to deteriorate rapidly. It's around this time that he begins to alter his perspective on how he treats others. He feels a heavy guilt for what he did to the Downs family, and even attempts to help out at the local church. Meeting Charlotte further adds to this change of heart, but more than some may realise. Let's take a look at the first interaction between the two, followed by an analysis of the scene.
You alright there?
Who are you?
Oh, it's okay, ma'am. I don't mean you no harm.
Well, it makes no difference now. If an outlaw or a wild animal doesn't get me, starvation will. We came out here from the city in search of a different life. Something true, something real. All this squandering and indulgence, we wanted to strip it away, to find something authentic. What a pair of fools.
Is there a train station or a town I can take you to?
No, I can't give up now. He wouldn't want that. I can't have it. I'm gonna do this for you, Cal.
Well, I'll leave you to it. Is there anything left for you to eat?
Nothing. No, we didn't know the first thing about hunting. We couldn't even catch a darn mouse. If you need any poisonous berries, though, I'm a natural at finding those.
Well, you ain't gonna last much longer out here if you don't know how to hunt. Come on. I'll show you.
All right. But you better not try any funny business. You know, I may be weak, but I still know how to stand up for myself.
Oh, I don't doubt it. Come on. Tell me, you ever skin an animal before?
No, but then again, I haven't caught much of anything either.
Well, you'll need to know how to do both if you're gonna survive out here.
I am all too aware. So where should we head for?
Let's try in the trees down there, near the river. What happened to your husband, if you don't mind me asking?
A bear got him. It was horrifying. He survived, but only for a couple of days. I buried him a week ago.
I'm sorry.
This was really his dream more than mine. I'd have hopped the next train back to Chicago if he'd said the word. But now, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I have to do this.
I understand. This is a good spot.
What are we looking for?
Well, I think we should start with something small, don't you? I kill it, you skin it. Sound fair?
Skin it? But I don't even have a knife with me.
Well, don't worry, you won't need one. Now, take a look around for any movement.
I don't see anything.
Shh, just keep your eyes peeled.
Good shot.
Okay then, go on. Time to get your hands dirty.
How do I mean, what do I do?
Just hold the legs tight and pull the skin away quickly. Should come right off.
Oh my! It worked.
That is all there is to it. You did good.
I think I've seen enough blood for one day. Do you mind if we head back now?
Sure, I'll walk you back. You did good. That should keep you fed for a few days.
Oh yes, at least. Thank you so much.
I mean, this really ain't such a bad spot. You got a good water source, it's remote, but you can survive here all right.
I have no doubt that one can survive here. Whether Charlotte Balfour can is a different matter entirely. You've probably lived your whole life in the outdoors.
Oh, a lot of it, that's for sure.
I barely left the city before coming here. Cal spent his summers growing up at his grandparents' lodge in Maine, but I get the impression they did more punting than hunting.
Right.
Oh, Lord. No, we're done for now.
Wolves, stay back! Smell that dead rabbit?
They're getting closer. Oh, thank God. You see, if you hadn't been here, I'd be dead now.
You got a rifle?
Yes. Well, my husband's.
I suggest you learn how to use it. Now, come on, let's get you home.
Since we got here, it feels like every step forward has come with 100 steps back. People always talk about the simplicity of country life, but there's nothing simple about any of this.
Well, I guess we only know what we know.
Oh, please. I'm sure it wouldn't take you too long to adjust to a life of privilege and indolence in the big city.
I don't know about that. It sounds awful.
Oh, it is. A truly empty and boring existence. But an undeniably easy one. I still can't believe he's gone.
So, it's Chicago you came from?
That's right. Have you been?
Yeah, I've passed through a couple times.
Business or pleasure?
Business, you could say. Banking, mostly.
Oh, really? Cal was in banking, too.
I doubt we crossed paths. I was more on the withdrawal side.
Oh, right. You're teasing me.
Yeah, something like that.
Thank you. That was the first time anyone's done anything nice for us. For me, since we got here.
Nature provides, but she sure don't always make it easy.
That she doesn't. I'd invite you in, but I'm dead on my feet, if you'll forgive the pun. Please do call again sometime, though. A good rest, and hopefully I'll be a new woman.
You take care, man.
Charlotte is clearly upset at the very recent passing of her husband, Cal. Her appearance indicates that she's given up on herself, even though she claims not to have. Her and Cal were looking for a real life, fed up with the one they had back in Chicago, being waited on hand and foot. They wanted to feel more independent, escaping the boring dinner parties and such. This is how they ended up at Willard's Rest, although it was more Cal's dream than Charlotte's. At first, Arthur is unsure on how to help Charlotte, only offering her a ride to the train station. This is because he had spent his whole life in it for only himself and the gang. It can stem all the way back to the early days of the gang, where they eventually stopped robbing from the rich to give to the poor, and also to robbing from anyone to keeping it for themselves. It's because of this inexperience in helping others that he initially begins to walk away from Charlotte, but he quickly realises that it would be wrong of him to leave this poor lady to her own devices. When Charlotte talks of how this little adventure was more Cal's dream than hers, but of course she would be joining him, it reminds Arthur of how himself and the gang have followed Dutch's dreams, visions and ideals because of a strong bonds of loyalty. He also admires the relationship between Charlotte and Cal, and how Cal was doing what he felt was best for the pair, by taking them away from a life where they were both very unhappy in hopes of providing something better. In the earlier days of Arthur's outlaw lifestyle, he did meet a young waitress named Eliza, who bore the couple's young son, Isaac. Tragically, bandits raided the family home, killing the pair whilst Arthur was away with the gang. This hardened Arthur, to quote his own words, and seeing the loving relationship between Cal and Charlotte reminded him of his loss. He realises that if he'd stayed with Eliza and Isaac instead of living rough with a gang of outlaws, he would have been able to protect them. He knows he could have provided a similar life for his family, just as Cal attempted with Charlotte, had Arthur only made the right decisions. Arthur compliments on how Charlotte was able to skin the rabbit, even though she'd never done it before. He also mentions on how this location is a very good spot. He's trying to boost Charlotte's confidence and lift her spirits, as only minutes before she appeared to have given up on everything. During the wolf attack, as Arthur defends both himself and Charlotte, he immediately questions as to whether she has a rifle or weapon of any kind. He's fully aware of the dangers of the wilderness and does not wish to see Charlotte become a victim to the vicious ways of life in the Old West can be. Not only could Charlotte fall victim to wildlife, but there's also potentially the dangers of man himself. Bandits and raiders and the like, or this guy for example, who unbeknownst to neither Charlotte or Arthur has been watching the widow from the shadows, and given the creepy contents of his tent, such as the doll, the photographs and the handcuffs, it had the potential to become a very dangerous situation for Charlotte. As the pair continue onto the home, Charlotte mentions Cal's death once more. In turn, Arthur quickly changes the subject in an attempt to take her mind off it, but the conversation ultimately returns to Cal. After walking her home, Charlotte inadvertently thanks Arthur for helping us, before quickly realising her mistake and correcting it to just her. She's still not used to being on her own, and is still processing the death of her husband. As the first encounter between the two draws to a close, Charlotte's spirits seem to have been uplifted, as she even jokes around a little with Arthur. Some time later, Arthur revisits Charlotte to see how she's faring.
Oh, hey there.
How you feeling, ma'am?
Much better than I felt in a long time. If we hadn't caught that rabbit, I don't think I'd have made it another day.
Well, you look better.
Better and determined, thanks to you. And if I'm gonna learn to hunt, I figured it was time I learned how to use Cal's gun properly.
And how's that working out for you?
Well, let's just say my prey is looking decidedly unscathed. At the end of labor is to gain leisure. Is that not what Aristotle said?
Well, I don't know much about Aristotle, but well, I know a thing or two about shooting a gun. Look, you gotta hold steady and firm. You just focus, breathe slowly, and always pull the trigger on empty lungs. Here, I'll show you. Okay. Calm and steady. Don't snatch at the trigger.
You make it look so easy.
All right. You try now. Remember to breathe.
Wait to breathe out. Wait to breathe out. Would you look at that? I haven't hit one that close all day.
Not bad. Focus on the inhale. Shoot on the exhale. My turn. I'll shoot a few more this time.
Oh no, that wretched rat is back. Show off? All right, let me try again. Come on, come on. Yes! I hit it! I hit it, didn't I? What can I say? Thank you. I still have some of the rabbit left that I salted up. Would you join me for a meal? It's the least I can do. Go ahead and take a seat at the table. Food is just about done. Well, it's good and hot. I hope you enjoy it. You helped me to catch it, after all. Bon appetit.
Huh?
Please enjoy. And thank you again for everything. I really am grateful.
It was nothing.
You're a good man.
Oh, you don't really know me.
I know enough. There's always more to find in ourselves. You helped me to see that. My husband, Cal, was such an optimist. I found that to be very contagious. But there's a fine line between optimism and naivete. And we were both born with the silver spoon. Banquets, butlers, valets.
Sounds terrible.
It was just so many people, so many things. I was lost in it. I was crushed by it. My father was very overbearing. Then we came out here and I got crushed by this. You know, I pictured myself picking fresh vegetables, sipping homemade wine, writing a great novel. But I turned out to be a far more pathetic anti-heroine than any I could ever pen.
Oh, well. I reckon you're gonna be just fine.
Are you all right? Can I get you some water?
Oh, I'm fine. I just, Yeah, thank you for this. I think it's best if I make...
Stay right there. It's gonna be okay. My dear Arthur, I have gone out hunting. Not a phrase I thought any pen of mine would ever ink, but nonetheless one I am very proud to finally be able to write. I am so very grateful to you for all the help and encouragement you've given me. There is some money in a box on the nightstand. Please take it. I have far more than I need back in the city, and I'd like you to have it. Please take care, and remain true to the man I know you are.
This time, she's looking much better, much healthier, and even admits that she's feeling more determined. She's much more upbeat after being able to eat and feel some form of normality, laughing and making fun of herself at her inability while practicing with the rifle. In a subtle moment after Charlotte had finished shooting, she inadvertently points the weapon at herself. Arthur quickly realises this and clears the danger, teaching her to always know where the weapon is pointing. Charlotte learns this lesson very quickly, and when she swings the rifle around once more to aim at the targets, she keeps the barrel clear of both herself and Arthur. During practice, even though she still misses the bottles, Charlotte is incredibly proud of herself, as that's the closest she's come to hitting these targets. This is because she continued to listen to Arthur's advice. She's becoming more of her former self, continuing to laugh and joke with Arthur, showing us that she's feeling much better than when the pair first met. Listening closely, you can see that she exhales right before shooting, which is something Arthur also taught her, and becomes overjoyed when she finally nails the bottle. After inviting him for something to eat as a thank you for earlier helping her catch the rabbit, she calls Arthur a good man, and even though he doesn't see it in himself, Charlotte is insistent, informing him that there's always more to oneself than we first may realise. Even though Arthur still feels low about himself, he smiles when Charlotte compliments him. He's beginning to see a side of himself that he's not really seen before. Charlotte quotes to Arthur during this meal that there's a fine line between optimism and naivety. This reflects Arthur's life strongly, referring to how he blindly followed Dutch throughout all these years, being both naive and unaware of the real man that Dutch truly was. After passing out due to a coughing fit, Arthur wakes up to a letter from Charlotte, where she informs Arthur that she's gone out hunting, something of which he's very thankful that he taught her. In this letter, Charlotte tells Arthur to stay true to the man she knows he is. This is when Arthur truly begins to realise the error of his former ways, and how selflessly helping someone in need to this extent is definitely the right thing to do. Leaving the home and returning sometime later to once again check on how Charlotte is doing, Arthur soon realises that his situation has improved substantially.
My. I was wondering when I was going to see you again.
You look different.
Well, the rigors of simplicity take their toll on a woman.
Oh no, I didn't mean
No,
it.
I know. Things are going well. I couldn't have done it without you.
Oh, you did it all yourself.
So how are you holding up?
I'm still standing, which is an improvement on the last time you saw me.
I wish that there was something else that I could do.
Ma'am, you have done more than enough.
Please, call me Charlotte.
Arthur Morgan.
Well, you take care of yourself, Arthur. Well, please go on in and help yourself to anything you need. What's mine is yours.
Oh, well, that's very kind.
The first thing we notice is that Charlotte is writing. She mentioned earlier that it was something she was planning to do once her and Cal had settled in at Willard's Rest, and Arthur now sees that she's able to concentrate on this, showing that she's moving forward with her life. Charlotte's appearance has also improved drastically from the dirt-covered fragile lady Arthur greeted some time before. She continues to look healthier every time the pair interact. For Arthur, it's the opposite. His voice becomes more gravelly and his coughing has become more frequent. It's clear that as Charlotte has become much better, Arthur has become much worse, but it's something he's come to terms with and is happy about. Charlotte continues to joke with Arthur, showing us that she's truly become her former self. Thanking Arthur once more for everything he's done, he returns the gratitude by informing Charlotte that in turn, she herself has done more than enough for Arthur, not so much the other way round. He taught her how to hunt, use a rifle, and live a life at Willard's Rest, but Charlotte taught Arthur something much more valuable. She taught him how to see a side of himself that he never realised he had, and certainly never thought he would see. He smiles as she kisses him on the cheek. He now knows that Charlotte Balfour will be perfectly fine on her own, and can take great comfort in knowing that he helped her to realise this. Some years later, during the epilogue, John Marston can close the final strand on the relationship between Arthur and Charlotte.
Hello there. Can I help you?
I think you knew a friend of mine, a fella called Arthur Morgan. Came by and helped you with some hunting and skinning probably 7 or 8 years back.
Yes, of course. I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for him.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, he passed soon after.
I figured he might not have had long left. Such a shame. He found me at my lowest point and he lifted me up.
Glad to see you're doing well, ma'am. He wrote fondly of you.
Oh, I couldn't be happier. Listen, it's a long way out here. You're welcome to take whatever you need from the house for your travels.
No, that ain't necessary.
Please, I have everything I need and more. He gave me the ability to survive. And now I'm writing. Any friend of Arthur's is a friend of mine. Please take something. It would make me happy.
Well, that's very kind of you, ma'am.
Noticeably, Charlotte is now wearing an attire very much resembling that of a frontierswoman. When first approached, she immediately reaches for her rifle as to defend herself from the stranger approaching her property. Both of these details are derived from her time with Arthur Morgan, upon where his teaching showed her how to both live off the land and defend herself. She's also continuing to write novels, just as she wished to do from the very start. Charlotte Balfour is living the life that her husband Cal had dreamt up for the pair, and even though she's doing it alone, she still seems quite content. Upon learning of Arthur's passing, Charlotte is somewhat taken aback, but quickly accepts the news as she figured, due to his illness, that he didn't have long left, aided by the fact that he hadn't been to visit for years. She compliments to John about his friend Arthur and how she wouldn't be here today if it weren't for the man. Arthur's aiding of Charlotte is still vitally important to her all these years later. She feels she owes her life to him, and for that reason considers John a friend also. In closing, Arthur's character, from the person we are introduced to in the earlier stages of the game up to his final days, changed dramatically. He was no longer the man who was happy to leave the German family to fend for themselves, simply because the gang wanted the land. He'd become a much more caring person to others, and with Charlotte's teaching, realised the true man he should have been all along, and even though it was during his final days, he managed to become that person. He saw in Charlotte the life he could have had, and by aiding her to realise her full potential, this was enough for him. If it was too late for him to have a life like this himself, he can take solace in providing it to someone else. He went from vicious tech collector and enforcer for a gang of outlaws to a selfless and caring person. Although there were certainly other influences as to the realisation of his true self, it was his time helping Charlotte Balfour to survive, in turn helping him realise what a good man he was, that had the greatest impact. Charlotte Balfour and Arthur Morgan both saved each other. If you enjoyed today's video and wish to see more like it, you all know what to do, and if you're new here and aren't subscribed to the channel already, please consider doing so. If you wish to see me cover any particular character, relationship or situation, feel free to let me know in the comment section, as I truly enjoy creating these types of videos. Thank you all for watching. You've been listening to Phil of Filbee Gaming, and I'll see you in the next video.